This is a Hot Pie Media original. Hi, I'm Deb, and this is my podcast.
You're listening to the Deb O'Keefe Podcast, the podcast where Deb O'Keefe doesn't know anything.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know anything except today's guest. So excited. I've been waiting for this guy my whole life. We could just be sitting around in a hot tub because he's my soulmate. Let's not waste any more time, guys. Let's get to it. You got plans next weekend? Apparently there's a big game going on. Did you know that in the advertising sphere, in the space of radio and podcast, you're not allowed to say what it is called, but it is a super important game of football. And it's coming up, and I don't care who you like team-wise, you're probably going to go over to a friend's house and have fun. That's what I always do, and I always stop by Specs to make sure that I bring the joy to the party. It's nothing better than walking in with a Specs bag. Everyone knows she didn't bring any cheese dip. She's got some good bubbles going on in there, and that's what I always do when I go to Specs. I see what their featured items are. I see if they've got any specials. I see if they've got any great cocktail recipes, and you get the whole kit right there. You just get everything. You want to be a what do they call them? Mixologist? Specs can make you one. It's easy. You can even get recipes and more online at specsonline.com. So whatever you're doing for that game day, make sure you stop by Specs and pick up a gift for your hosts. Wow, I don't even know where to start actually with today's guest. Not just a friend of mine. I'm very blessed to call him a personal friend. He's
That's me.
You're wonderful. He's an actor, a writer, director. I'm playing a game with the listeners now and the viewers to see if they can guess who you are without me saying anything. But this is going to be fun, and you can correct me.
All you have to do is say that guy.
That guy. And I'm like, oh, I know him.
They don't know my name. They always know that. Oh, that guy.
Yeah. Well, he's an actor, writer, director, musician, animal advocate, composer, all-around Renaissance man, my friend, my soulmate, and you may know him from... Hang on, I got to take a deep breath for this. Sons of Anarchy, Supernatural, Taken, all of the movies. Hawaii Five-0, Men in Black, The X-Files, yes, Quantum Leap.
What are those?
Falcon Crest. I went deep diving on that one.
You're going back. That's too deep. What about White Lotus?
It's coming. It's coming. Hold your horses, sir. I don't want to let them know who you are yet. Falcon Crest, majority of the audience don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Seinfeld. Martin. Carnival, 24, CSI, ER, Get Shorty, The Rundown, although in my notes here it says The Rubdown. You can tell me about that later. Just a typo. Real Genius. I think that people are going to start guessing right now. Shout out your guests, listeners. Your guesses, listeners. Real Genius, Lost, The White Lotus, Dream Corp LLC, and of course, you'll know him. I love him. You love him. As Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite, it is Jon Gries. Bravo.
Thank you. Please.
I am thrilled to have you here. You just make my day, seeing your face, seeing your smile. But this has been a bit of a journey to get you on my podcast. I asked you like 8 months ago, and it's been hard to connect. Yeah. You are a jet setter.
It's not that for lack of wanting.
Oh, I know.
My computer it's just been COVID kind of fueled.
Did your computer get COVID? Mine did.
I did. And my computer did.
Yeah. I thought my computer was going to die a few months ago. I literally had 5 days on calls with Apple, and I had to delete the whole thing about 4 or 5 different times. It was very stressful. So I know what you're going through.
You know, they put graphics chips in them, obviously, and they used to be easily removable and changeable. But then they hardwired everything into so that nobody could ever mess with their computers. They just would have to buy a new one,
Yeah.
They took a page out of the auto industry.
Didn't they? Just make everything obsolete. So you have to buy another one. Our landfills are getting more and more full every day.
Oh, yeah.
But I think the last time I'd spoken to you, you were in Hawaii filming White Lotus. And it was good because we couldn't really have talked about it then at the time, but I'd love you to share some. Okay, let's hang on, rewind quickly. White Lotus. Great. Everyone in it, your performance, I loved it. And I don't want to ruin it for the listeners, for the viewers, but I thought you were going to be a jerk face. And you weren't.
Well, there's still time.
Yes. Well, we can't talk about that either. But you and the team went to Hawaii to film White Lotus, and you were. And it was in COVID, and we were still confused. I think we still are. Every day is different, right? It's an ongoing process. Right. But back then, it was in 2021, and we didn't know day to day what was happening, but you had to go to Hawaii for work. And I'd love you to explain sort of like the hotel sequestering period and just the logistics of everything.
It's one of the most ridiculously amazing things. I mean, Mike White, just in and of himself, apparently HBO was lacking content to show because of obviously the lockdown.
Oh, yeah.
Everything got shut down. Yeah. And finally they were able to get this resort, and they were like, well, who's the fastest amazing writer we know? And they just said Mike White. And apparently, and I never knew this while we were shooting, because the script for White Lotus was so good. It was so entertaining and enjoyable that I kept reading it over and over again. And I don't usually do that. I'll do a movie, I'll read it a few times. Maybe towards the end, I'll read it again. I would just find myself cracking the script and reading it just laughing out loud because the dialogue is just impeccable and his writing is so economical and it's just so concise and really, really just you cannot. There's a German word called Hintergedanke, which is like you just know what it is, but you can't. It's like tacit. It's like it's there. It speaks so clearly, and it really gets to the core of it. My bird is screaming, so I'm going to have to just grab him. 1 second. Come here, Pablo.
Pablo the bird is currently in Jon Gries's closet, where he likes to sit on a shelf and throw things off. And if he's run out of things to throw off, he gets...
This is Pablo.
Pablo. Hi, buddy.
He's very
Hello.
excited.
Hello. Hello. Do you speak? Hi,
He
Pablo.
does. He's a bit shy, and he might
Pablo.
start in a minute, but he's like, whoa.
Look at him. He sees me and
All
is
right.
like, what is she
Come on,
doing?
buddy. Up.
We'll get back to White Lotus and Hintergebotten or whatever in a minute. But
Hintergedanke. So it's a German phrase that just means knowing inside of knowing, I guess, something like that. It's something that we don't have a phrase for in English, but and that's how I felt about the writing. And then while we were shooting it, just as it was unfolding, we got about a little more than halfway through, and then we were having a little gathering at after a week of shooting. It was a very tiring week. And I was standing there having a beer with Mike White, and I said, wow, you're almost done. You got like 2.5 weeks left. How do you feel? He goes, and we started shooting at the end of September. And now we were getting into December. And he said, yeah, to think that in August, I had no idea what I was going to write.
What?
And it stopped me. My jaw dropped. I went, August of this year or last year? August now?
The August that just happened.
That just happened? Wait a minute. You wrote 6 hours of perfect content? What are you, like, are you an alien?
Genius.
Yeah. Just amazing, confounding, and, frustrating, because for me to write anything like that would have taken years, years. That's years of incredible, intuitive, just spot on. It's as if, I've heard that Tennessee Williams, the great playwright, used to not write little cards or whatever. He just would have everything in his head and just go. And I feel as if maybe that's a bit of what Mike White is doing.
That feels like something that is maybe almost once in a generation that the writers like that come out. Because like you said, you would take so long character development. Probably, I imagine in the writing process, you second guess yourself so much, which is part of the time taking rewrites. It sounds like he just sat there, spat it out and goes, that'll do, pig, and put it in front of HBO.
And just, I think, I don't know really a lot of the inner details, but you have to be right. I mean, the fact is that they were just happy to get anything. And I don't even know, who knows what their hand how things would have been if it had been during a different time when
they had multiple packages, multiple offers.
Or multiple chefs in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So, a lot of cooks in every kitchen when it comes to big companies like that. And at this point, it was just like, go do your thing. We've got a producer there with you. You just get it done. And I think they have an immeasurable trust for him because he did Enlighten, which I thought was such an amazing show for them. They know he's got the goods, clearly. But I think sometimes, maybe with casting, maybe with certain elements, people have opinions and, it's part of their deal. But, there for the grace of God go I, I believe that's why I ended up perhaps, unobstructed going into that project, because I have been in many different times in situations where I have been a choice and I've had executives,
overrule it.
Overrule it. Yeah.
Was he part of the casting as well, or did he put that off? On
Yeah.
So you guys worked together on anything else before?
No. Oh. The only time I'd ever met him, and it was, absolutely so briefly, when Napoleon Dynamite, we had done, I guess when the movie had come out and we were doing, I can't remember what it was over. Maybe it was when the cartoon had come out, and we did a screening somewhere, and he was the moderator for asking us questions. And, but he and Jared Hess are friends. And in fact, when I got the job, I got the call from Jared Hess before I got the call from my agents. He called me, or he texted me and said, "Congratulations, dude, you're doing White Lotus." So, that was my next question. What was it that he might have seen that said, "I need this guy for this character"? And it was Uncle Rico. Maybe, but I had to read for it. I don't know where this is coming from, but I had to read for it. I think I get dander in my throat
from the bird, from Pablo.
Yeah, I'm blaming him.
Do.
So I had to read for it. And apparently I found out later that he, because Jennifer Coolidge has to be with the person.
Yeah.
So I think there were a few choices, but Mike White had his favorite, which fortunately was me.
And she was down with that.
And then she watched all three, and I was then her favorite.
She said, "Give me some of that Uncle Rico."
Yeah.
I've heard he can throw a football over the mountain. I want that.
I still can.
I want that.
Leave the cat alone. Leave him alone.
Do they get, who's the boss, cat or the bird?
Oh, no, the bird wins everything.
I will be watching, when this episode comes out next week. I should know the date. I'm so rubbish. End of January, beginning of February. I'm going to make sure my best friend's 9-year-old son watches this. He wants he wants a parrot so bad. And we keep telling him, you will have this parrot for the rest of your life. There is no doubt a 9-year-old
would. I mean, they also have look, he's getting mad over there. Hold on, let me just put him.
I love these brief interludes of Pablo misbehaving. I've never had a parrot on the podcast before. This is the joy of Zoom. In the olden days of you got to be in studio, I would have never have met Pablo. I'm happy.
No, unless I brought him. But yeah,
unless you're that guy that walks around with the parrot on his shoulder all the time. Everywhere.
Well, he's too young. He gets nervous. He would fly away. He's flown away
How old
once.
Is he?
It took me about 8 hours to get him back.
No.
Yeah, it was amazing. I got him.
So how did you get him? Did you decide you wanted a parrot? Or I know that you're a rescuer. You're an advocate for rescuing animals. What was his story?
I'd had another one. I adopted one who was 15 years old, and he had a heart condition. His name was Picasso, hence why his name is Pablo. And so Picasso had a heart attack finally after 4 years. The doctor thought he was going to last a month.
I am sorry. That's
had
tragic.
him 4 years. The most amazing parrot I've ever known. He would say things like, "How are you doing? Are you okay?" Like,
get out.
Just amazing, full sentences. So sweet, so smart. But he was dealing with, there was a lot of medication and a lot. It was a job, and it was, and because of that, it was really hard to leave town because it's not easy to medicate a bird. It's really not. And
I can imagine they have sharp talons.
Yeah. Well, do they have sharp talons? I do not know what you just said.
What's wrong with you?
But Pablo's 8. I got him when he was 5. In the wild, they live to be 75.
Yeah. And
in captivity, they say 45 or whatever. But he's going to be on a flying program pretty soon. So
nice. So
he does fly now.
He flies in the house, and you're going to let him out and fly in an aviary, or just so he knows
I built an aviary. It took me and my ex-girlfriend, we built it. It took us 8 months. A beautiful aviary, like 16 feet high, 21 feet long.
Wow.
10, 11 feet wide with 2 trees inside. I mean, it's a
my
full
Lord. He'll love
beautiful.
it. And maybe is that something that will elongate his life a little bit as well? Like having more of an outside experience?
He loves going out there. Yeah, he does. He loves going out there. I think what will help is that it's interesting. When I was shooting White Lotus in Hawaii, they had a kind of a bad plexiglass aviary, and they had the same breed parrot, female. The Eclectus parrots they're sexually dimorphic. So the females are red and the males are green. So there she was, this beautiful female all by herself.
No, that's so sad.
It was terrible. But she and I bonded so much. And the guys that would feed her in the morning, who were basically the groundskeepers, would leave the door ajar so I could go in and I'd hang out with her for, when I wasn't working, I'd hang out with her. But they do these like crazy calls, and she would spend all day calling for me. But I wanted to
how sad when you left.
I really petitioned, and I ordered a bunch of, because they were not feeding her properly. I ordered a bunch of the right food for her to be sent to her. Seeds, which you don't want to do too much seeds, but like I would say, like 20% of the diet, 10% this, and fruits and vegetables. Like you got to go. They're involved.
Yeah.
And hence your 9-year-old friend.
Tell him,
big job.
Please say Sebastian. Give him a warning.
Sebastian. Birds are a big job. They're a big job. They require more attention than a dog, more attention by far than a cat. They're like having a human being in the room.
Oh,
they
want
constantly be stimulated by
how many questions you have, Sebastian, how much interaction you want, how much playtime you need. Are you ready to be a father right now to another human?
Exactly.
Thank you for your PSA,
exactly
Jon Gries. I appreciate you. I know we can't talk about your next upcoming project.
I don't really know. I didn't get a sign off on that, but I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe it is known that I'm going. I just can't say what's happening.
That's okay. So we'll just look forward to the continuation of a wonderful character arc.
White Lotus, yeah. I can say it.
Yes.
I can say it. I just can't say what.
All right. Season 2. So, maybe I'll come and visit you on set, because it sounds like you're going to be in a nice place. Maybe I guess.
Sicily.
Oh, he said that too?
Did I?
Getting it all out of you. I love it. Yeah, I'll pack my bikini. I'll be there. I'll see you in 2 months. How about that?
Is it Sicily or south of France? I can't remember which.
Well, 2 different countries. You better figure it out. Yeah. Well, maybe I'll show up in the south.
I'm just trying to confuse everybody.
Talking of confusion, if nobody listening to this has tuned into Dream Corp LLC, do so for a big dose of confusion. It is one of the most psychedelic TV shows that I think I've ever seen, and I fucking love it. I love how bizarre it is. I know I could Google this. So sorry I didn't.
I'm happy to talk about him.
Whose crazy brain did that come out of?
Daniel Stessen is this is why I feel as lucky as I do, because I was really upset that Dream Corp kind of bit the dust, and it bit the dust mainly because typical, Mike Lazo, who was running Adult Swim, who loved the show, retired. And so there was this void left at the top. And then AT&T bought Turner Broadcasting, which part of the package was Adult Swim. And so everything kind of just got moved down the assembly line. And it's a brilliant show. I think it's one of the best shows by far I've ever seen on Adult Swim, without question. It's certainly one of the best shows I've ever been involved in. It's so meta. It has even the silliest of episodes has so many little hidden gems, little nuggets of information that are actually kind of enlightening
and profound. So there's profundity in that show. Profundity within absurdity, for sure.
Absolutely. That's a perfect way of putting it.
You can use that.
And it is my favorite show that I've ever done. There's no question, hands down. It's a thrill ride. And on top of which, after everything else, then they, parts of the show, and we go into the dreams, is animated, and it's rotoscope animation, and it's so beautiful.
Rotoscope animation, is that where it's actually you and then it's layered?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We act it out and then they animate on top of us.
I was wondering about that one when you watch the sex scenes and stuff, and how, funny and strange and weird those must be.
Yeah. It is incredible. I mean, because sometimes there have been a couple of, we won't say sex scenes, but sexual scenes,
things. Yeah.
Where where they're not animated, where they're actually on camera and crazy wild, but, pushing the envelope, and allowing to get as close to the edge of, whatever.
Being allowed.
Yeah, whatever is allowed. What do they call it? Standards and practices or whatever.
I would, quick side note, I'd just like to apologize. You might not catch it, but I can hear it. My dog is over in the corner snoring. I can't. He's so loud. You can't hear it. Can you hear that, Colton?
See, it's okay if it's a dog. I can handle it if it's a dog. If it's a person, I might not be.
Oh, God. I wear earplugs and I still have to wake up every now and then and just reposition him. There's a certain sweet spot of guaranteed snoring, and it's on his back. So like a human. Right. So I have to just prop him up, and he sort of looks at me.
Pick his head up a little bit.
Just that way. Just get down and out of my, and then, he farts and his butt is right here. And by far, and I know you knew and loved my blue boy very well, but he,
so special.
Wasn't he?
Heartbreaking. That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, I'm sorry I had to break the news that he is kaput. He is tut. He is no more. Yeah. Took me a really long while. There are still times where I lose my mind talking and thinking about him, but he lives on behind me and on my brooch. You guys
truly were it was like a team.
Yeah.
It was always together. I remember. Just incredible.
He was definitely one of those soulmate pets that I think are probably once in a lifetime. Sorry, Alfie. Blue was really cool. You're cool too.
They understand. They all have to look up to some standard.
Yeah, he would have hated Blue, I think, because Blue would have wanted to play, and Alfie's like, my rules, Napoleon syndrome over there.
Right. Little guy.
Yeah. What's your pet count right now? Because like I said earlier. Big animal advocate. You just adopted your parrot a few years ago. What else is going on?
It's so limited because while I was doing White Lotus, my dog Chauncey of 18 and a half years passed away while I was shooting. That was the hardest thing to leave her. She was in pretty dire condition anyway, but I didn't want to put her down because she still wanted to eat every day and she wasn't in pain.
No, when you know, and you got to honor that. You have to honor that.
She just decided to let it go.
Do you think can I be weird and say, do you think she left when you weren't there to spare you that? Or was it worse that you weren't there to be there for her?
No, I think she wanted me to be back. I think she was waiting for me. I remember I held her and I said, I'm going to be back. It's only going to be 6 weeks. And then it got extended 2 weeks. And then she died 4 days before I got back.
So
I would have been back. And it was a COVID thing. COVID extended us for 2 weeks because one of the actors got exposed. And then, then we pretty much had to shut down for a while just to kind of quarantine and wait it out. And it just changed the schedule, you know.
I'm sorry for that loss. That's hard. That's hard. Send love.
That was a blow. But I was glad that I was able to help and provide for her and make it as comfortable. You know, that's one of the guys that was caretaking said, look, I'm so afraid she's going to die on my watch. I said, it's okay if she does. I'm just trying to make her passing as comfortable as possible.
She's at
because
home.
she really was. She was not in any pain.
Yeah.
She was a little bit, she lost her marbles a little bit, but
18's like huge for a dog.
Yeah.
Big dog, little dog.
Little girl.
Little small
wire-haired terrier. I think I have a picture of her somewhere.
Oh, look, Jon, you're going to die. My dead dog of 3 years is still my screensaver too.
Can't do it. How do you not do it?
I don't know. People are like, oh, is that your dog? I'm like, yeah, but he's dead. So I can joke about it now. There was a time I couldn't even.
He's laughing right there with you.
I think he is.
I had at one point in this house, when we first met, I had, I had 13. I had 8 dogs, but one of them had puppies.
Oh,
so she had 5 puppies, and then we had 13 dogs. And a cat and a crow. I had a crow here for a while, yeah. But the dog,
crow?
It was my ex-girlfriend who worked at an animal hospital, ex-girlfriend. And I had 2 dogs to begin with, and she had 2 dogs, and then I adopted another, and then we adopted another, and then she found another, and it just kept growing, and it just grew. And so finally we had 8 dogs in this little, I mean, it's really relative. It's a small house. I mean, in the sense that it's like 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. It's a cabana. It's a Hollywood bungalow, you know?
Yeah.
But a nice little yard, and they loved it. They were really, really happy.
13's nice because, you know, you've always got a chance that someone's going to die, right? And someone's going to get something, eat something, catch something.
Yeah.
Not that I'm saying surround yourself.
You're looking at it like Western prairie children. Like, let's make as many kids as we can because somebody's definitely going to die.
They're going to die. We're going to get dysentery. Someone's going to get eaten by the plow.
We're going to get fever. Maybe, who knows? Maybe after Omicron, people are going to start, you know, making more population. I don't know.
No, we don't. No, stop having children. There's too many children and people in this world, and too many terrible parents. And so what's the count now, Animal Dad? What have you got?
2 cats.
2 cats and a bird.
Banjo, the cat that was there with all the dogs, is still here. He was the quadriplegic that I had. I got him. Basically, he was set to be knocked out. You know, and my ex-girlfriend Melanie and I were going to lunch one Saturday, and she said, I got to stop by the hospital and put down a cat. I said, oh, great. That's great. Like, we're going to go enjoy this beautiful day and eat a nice lunch, but we got to stop and kill something. I mean, what are we doing? And she goes, I'm sorry. It's my job. Why you have to put him down? Well, he's a feral cat that was trapped, and there's an organization that traps these feral cats. We spay and neuter them and then let them go.
Clip them air and let them out. Yeah.
And so I was like, and they're telling you that he's not going to ever walk again? She's like, that's just what the doctors are saying. We got to put him down. I said, I'll take him. She said, Jon, just please. I said, how do they know? They don't know. I was just getting really upset. I said, this is kind of putting a damper on the day. I'm sorry. Well, anyway, we went to the animal hospital. I sat in the car just praying, like just mantra, just please don't, please don't, please don't, please. She went in. And of course the animal was hissing at her, but couldn't move. And it had an IV, and she put the first part, which is the sedation.
Oh, I know. Did it mess itself? Did it was it?
No, he was just lying there, and but he was totally calm, and he looked up at her and he started purring, and he has this amazing purr.
Oh, wow.
And then she looked into his beautiful eyes and she said, fuck it. I'm not going to do this. Yes. Put him back in the thing, left. And then he lived here, and I've got him right here.
Oh, and Banjo, come.
This is Banjo. And he is look at him. He's a bruiser, and he can walk. He walks like a little raccoon, but I taught him to walk. It took me 8 months.
With a sling and.
I did the whole thing. Yeah. And he was, in the beginning, he wanted to get away. Look at him, fat boy.
He is he's beautiful. I love black cats. They're my favorite. Oh, yeah. Black cats are the best. Hi, Banjo. Oh my!
Buddy, go back.
Oh my! Wow! So you not only rescued him, but you taught him how to walk, and you just go to the vets and go, "Hey."
So when she and I broke up, she wanted to take him so badly, and she said, "I can't because you did everything. You're the reason he's alive." So
that's wonderful.
She was very much a part of it. She was really helpful. So
it's a small count for you, I think, animal wise. But like you said, it makes it easier to travel. I've got 4 myself at home. And, I enroll the ex into coming over and staying when I need to travel, but it is hard. And especially I've got, Alfie's a bit special needs and needs medication. And then my other dog, Brady, just needed her second ACL surgery of 2021. So that was expensive being unemployed at the time.
And there's no guarantee with these ACL surgeries, honestly.
Yeah, it's TPLO surgery, and it's a pretty fantastic concept behind the surgery. But I remember Blue Boy had to have both of his done, and I don't know, he never really properly healed from it. I think because he was very sensitive, for a pit bull type dog. Well, they all are, but just very sensitive and emotional. And I felt like he thought, well, great, thanks. Look what you did. And then of course I had to chop one of his legs off as well. So toward the end of him having cancer, it was traumatic. But
so did he have mast cell? Did he have mast cell cancer?
Yeah. It's weird how it started. He had a lip. So the first ACL that went was the left one, and then the right one 3 or 4 years later. And then, in 2018, he started limping again on the left one. And I'm like, that doesn't seem right. And his tail seemed, maybe that was weird. So I thought it might be spinal or something. So I took him in to the specialty vet to get an x-ray. And by this point, by the time I could get the appointment, he's not really putting any weight down on that leg rather than just limping. And so it was just random that the day I took him to the vet, the x-ray machine was down. So they said, hey, can you just leave him here for a few hours? We've got a tech coming. We'll have it up and running. And I said, yeah. And the vet said, I just don't like the way this looks. I really want to have a look at this leg. And so I got a call a couple of hours later saying, we knocked Blue out and gave him a CT scan instead of the x-ray because it was down and we didn't like the look of the leg. We found a lump in the ankle. I just biopsied it, looked at it under the microscope, and it's cancer, and his ankle is broken from this fucking hemosarcoma.
Wow.
And I was devastated that I could lose it now, that I had him limping for a while on a broken thing. Anyway, they said he's under, we're going to take the leg. We're going to take the leg and this will be the end of his troubles. And I was like, great, let's take the leg.
Yeah.
So they took the leg and he was not happy. He really didn't like walking on the other leg because, of course, that had ACL surgery too. Anyway, long story short, when they got the CT scan results back, they hadn't just taken it of the leg. It was the whole back half. So they could see in his liver and in his spleen, there were some spots. And then we took him in for an MRI for the rest of the body, and there was some in his thyroid and some other organs.
It metastasized.
And it wasn't very big at that point. So we started the chemo at home. I was doing it, and I was doing acupuncture and like everything I could think of.
I've been there.
You do anything, right?
Yeah,
and then it just got to the point where he was fucking miserable. The right leg wasn't very strong because it had ACL surgery or CCL surgery. So him trying to squat and pee, he would pee on himself and he'd walk around like, so angry. And I would find him in weird spots in the back garden. And for about 2 months, I camped out in the garden with him because he wouldn't come inside. So I got a sleeping bag, slept on the front lawn. This whole time it was just awful. So it came, the time. And the worst thing about it, Jon, was he was so right in the head. He had not lost any of his capabilities. He was only just 12. And so it was really hard, but I had, my parents came in town at that point. I actually had scheduled it around, I needed surgery myself. Like we're our animals, right? I had a torn labrum in my left leg. He had just had his removed. It was hilarious. So I had my parents come in to take care of me for that. And so a few days before I had the surgery.
Hip, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
Torn labrum. But the recovery of that was like, you can't do anything. You need help.
That's hard. Yeah, that's really hard.
Yeah. And so I had them in for moral support, and I had them and my best friends here who are like family, and we just all celebrated Blue, and he got to eat a pound of bacon, a whole box of chocolates, whatever the fuck he wanted, he got. And I had a doctor come in and take care of it at my home, and he got to say goodbye to everyone. And so I want to think it was the best way out, but it's never easy. Never easy. And then you do it again and you get more.
It's always harder for us. That's really the truth. I mean, I have a feeling death is like I don't believe in heaven and hell, and I don't believe in all that, but I do believe that energy doesn't die. It's been proven. And I think that wherever that void is, whatever that thing is, it's probably a lot of fun.
And what it can't be, it's got to be better than here. It is.
We hope.
Yeah.
But, like again, like religion, the concept of heaven and hell, it's like, wait a minute, you guys are selling me property in the Everglades. I don't know for sure. You don't even know for sure. You're telling me heaven is going to be, wait a minute, hold on a second. Have you been there? Because, hence, as Shakespeare wrote Hamlet saying, thus conscience does make cowards of us all. We're stuck here, what lies ahead. So
we don't know.
Here we are.
Good luck with that. I hope I meet Blue again. He was the best boy. He was the best boy.
He'll be sitting there. It'll be like a crowd will open and you'll be walking into a mall or something, and there'll be just things and all of a sudden there he'll be just kind of sitting there looking for you.
With little squinty eyes. Oh, I love that. Thank you. That visual's brilliant. Big thank you to Early Bird. You can find them at earlybirdcbd.com. Going to their website, earlybirdcbd.com, they're pretty cool. You got to verify that you're 21 and up, and they will find out if you're not, guys. Don't be trying to be cheating. They're very responsible retailers. They want to make sure that your kids aren't going to get hold of these gummies. You got kid-proof locks or, child-proof containers. The 4-packs that you can get, which I've actually purchased to give as gifts. I know that sounds weird, but THC CBD gummies make a great gift, and the little 4-pack is a nice way for you to say thank you. Someone did me a favor recently. I got them the whole tub of the 30. Is it 30 in that big tub? Whatever you want to do. You want to chill, you want to relax. Early Bird CBD THC gummies, CBD and THC gummies. That's the important thing, guys. There, it's the good stuff, and it's formulated right here in Austin for fun. So you're not going to get all loopy, all messed up. If you're a novice in this game, great place to start. Nibble off a corner, see how you like it. Nibble off another corner. There's your limit. Stick with it. It really is a responsible way to hang out and have fun. I oftentimes, if I don't want to drink because I'm working out the next day or getting up early, I'll just chill out with my friends with an Early Bird CBD THC gummy. You can order yours today. Make sure you add my code. That's earlybirdcbd.com/Deb. That gets you 10% off your entire order. Do it right now. earlybirdcbd.com. Talking of beautiful visuals, I want you to think of, apart from Dream Corp LLC, which is beautiful visually, and so you've said your favorite project to work on. Is that your favorite role? That's kind of what I'm curious about you. What have been some of your favorite roles? And you can even talk about what you did in Falcon Crest if you want. I'm not familiar.
I don't remember what I did in Falcon Crest. I don't remember that. I just remember that it's on my resume, but I'm not thinking that because I'm old. Hello?
Just a tiny bit older than me, and I'm not old. So how can you be old?
I'm old enough to know better and young enough not to care. So, but I mean, obviously, there are little milestone roles that I've played, like Laszlo in Real Genius. That was a big change in my life because I'd done little parts before that in movies, or decent roles in small movies and stuff. And that was like the first time I got a kind of a big studio job. And I never had to go back to working construction after that. That was
your fallback, not waiting tables. You were construction.
Yeah, that was done after that. Then I was a full-time actor. And so
what year was that?
Signaled 84.
Nice.
I mean, I shot in 84. It came out in 85. And then it just, yet through ups and downs. I mean, I've done a lot of different things, but luckily, and I loved the character too. I loved the character of Laszlo. And I think that, I mean, they originally called me in for a different role, and I asked to read for Laszlo instead.
Oh, wow. What a life changer.
Yeah. I knew the guy. When I read it, I was like, I know this. I know who he is.
Yeah. You felt him.
I felt like a lot of people went in and concentrated on, because I remember sitting in the room full of people reading for Laszlo, and they're all concentrating on the intellectual, the brilliant mind. And I was concentrating on the
Shut up, Pablo.
I know, the horribleness of knowing so much that nobody else sees. And it's how damaging that would be. Yeah. So that's kind of where I keyed on Laszlo.
I like that. I like that. I like that you went there with that.
That's what it spoke to me. I mean, it just came to me. It was like, what a horrible burden to know the end of the story and being in it.
I've always said actually that, I mean, I'm not a real genius. I'm no Laszlo, but I do wish I was 2% dumber because, or maybe 8% dumber, because I think you're a little happier. You don't worry about things. You don't think about things.
Ignorance is bliss. There's a reason they say that.
It's right. And also I probably would have had like low enough standards where I could have just been some type of, you know, I like to call them DNBs, just like, you know, do nothing bitches. That applies to men and women who just sit around and rest on their pretty laurels and then marry someone rich. You wouldn't last. I got to grab him because he's getting at it. No. You want your hat? What do you want? Do you want your hat? Is that what he just said? He's throwing hats off the shelf and he's throwing t-shirts and things. He just, I love him. You know, the thing is with a bird, you end up cleaning up after them. Do you hear that, Sebastian? Because, you know, the thing is, he has no saliva. So whenever he eats anything, it falls everywhere. Oh, yeah. I've seen him eat. It's a mess. I make him oatmeal sometimes in the morning. And whenever I have him eating oatmeal in the kitchen, I have to put newspaper everywhere. It's like having a baby. It is messy. But he just does it to get it off his beak because it gets on his beak and he shakes his beak and it flings like beautifully. He is gorgeous. He's amazing. Got red wings underneath. Is that red underneath his wings? Oh, that's just the color of the female. Wow. This red and this blue. And the female's beaks are black. His is candy corn or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I like that. That's candy corn's a good explanation. Are you ever going to get him a lady friend, or is that? Yes, that's where we were going in that. I think when I come back from White Lotus, I'm going to South of France or Italy, because I got this huge aviary, and there's a great organization in Northern California called Mickaboo, and they're very responsible. They adopt birds that are looking for, you know. Oh yes, take the glasses. Oh yeah, there you go, buddy. And they're a very responsible group. It's all volunteers, and look at that, what a beauty! Just wondered if Pablo wanted to meet Alfie. Look at the belly. Look at the little belly. Pablo, want to say hi? You see the puppy? He's staring at you, Alfie. You see the bird? Yeah. He's very observant. First time on the Deb O'Keefe podcast, pets get to meet. Hi, Pablo. Alfie stopped too, though. What's it all about, Alfie? Alfie, what's it all about? So you're using this organization, or are you vetting them right now to find the right girl for Pablo? Yeah, I mean, there was one that I did find, but she was blind, and I don't know if it'd be too dangerous for her in the aviary. So right. Would they live out there permanently in the aviary? If no. Just the aviary is only like an hour a day. Nice. Gosh, that's exciting. He has 2 cages that are combined with and the cages are open all the time. You know. Do you? Okay, dumb question, Amnesty. Don't laugh at me about this because I don't know much about birds. Do you have to get them fixed, or are you going to let them bang and have babies? No, the idea is not to breed. I mean, I might get, if I do get, I might get a compatible, you know, birds are not, they're not like breeds like dogs. So all birds are species. Mm-hmm. Each parrot is a different species. So they don't mate. They can only mate with their own species. So you're going to get a different species parrot for him as a companion. Yeah, oh, great. Yes. That makes so much sense. He's a devil and I love it. And do you when you're thinking of introducing mates, are you going to have to let him have meet and greets? Because what if they hate each other?
Yeah, that's definitely. And also the truth is, whenever you bring a new parrot into your home, you probably should quarantine them separate from each other.
Same with dogs and cats. It's standard. That makes sense.
Even if you have them checked, because especially birds. I mean, look, I had Omicron in
Braga.
I guess like January 2nd. And here I didn't go out for New Year's. I wouldn't go anywhere. And I was like, but I got it somehow because I went to an 86-year-old man's house, a friend of my family. I went for dinner, and he had like an exchange student there who came in as I was leaving.
Not even hanging out with this person.
It was a quick, hey, how are you? Nice, blah, blah, blah. Out the door, and I got it.
That's Omicron for you, right?
Yeah. And so I already had 19, but so I didn't have bad symptoms at all. And I've been vaccinated and boosted.
Omicron's like the herpes of STDs. It's like just so easy to get, so easily spreadable.
Toilet seat, whatever. Yeah.
Just look at someone with it. You got it.
Don't look too close. So, but I was kissing him the night that the next
parrot.
day. We were having, he likes to kiss me sometimes. So he loves this. It's like, give me a kiss.
Oh, yes, that's nice.
You like that?
Kiss, kiss.
So we were doing that for like a half an hour.
Did you give him Omicron?
And it was like a game. Look,
he doesn't want you to stop now.
Comes back. He doesn't want me to stop. You're a good boy. Kiss. And I'll tell you what, the next 2 days, it took in 2 days from that time that we were kissing, he gets sick. And he was really sick. He just was sitting in his cage. He wouldn't eat. And I took him to the vet and they were like, no, there's no record of birds getting. And I'm like, wait a minute, we can get SARS from a bird.
I had bird flu. Yeah.
So, of course, we share more DNA with birds than we do with any other animals.
Do we?
Maybe except chimpanzees, but look, he just wants to go over here so bad.
Hi, buddy.
He's like,
hi.
He's pulling you.
Yeah, you're on the show. This is your show, Pablo. Hi, Pablo. If you're just listening to this, you got to go check out the YouTube video because he is gorgeous. Except Sebastian, you don't want this. You don't want any of this. Stay away from
it. Not yet. I mean, it is a lifetime companion, and they are amazing. But they're also fragile.
Mm-hmm.
To a degree, they're fragile, and they you have to be careful about so many things. Like if you're cooking in the kitchen, you can't have the bird in the kitchen, particularly if you're cooking with Teflon. If you have that kind of shit, forget it. It'll kill the bird instantly.
No, what, the fumes from the Teflon?
Yeah.
What?
It's toxic. Immediately, like death.
Damn.
And so, like painting in your house, if you're painting a room, you can't have the bird in the house while you're doing it. It just, that's why you take a canary in a coal mine, is that if there's a little bit of gas leaking, the canary will die because their lungs are like 15 times more sensitive than ours, maybe even more.
That's crazy.
So that it'll kill them, and then we'd better not go lower. There's gas down there.
Thanks, coal miners.
Yeah.
What about when you're doing it? What about when you're having sex? Does he not like? Does he like that? Does he not like that?
No, he's not happy about that.
Not happy. No.
Yeah.
I feel like most pets are a bit like, excuse me. That's my parent.
Banjo. He's like on the bed, like going, yeah, whatever you guys are doing, that feels great.
He's enjoying the ride, literally.
He loves the ride. Yeah. No, he's just like, cool. Because he's always trying to hump. I have another cat named Alger who adopted us. She just was here for like weeks and wouldn't let me near her. And then finally, just little by little, came into the house, and she is mad about Banjo. And he's always trying to make whoopee with her. I'm always screaming, get a room. The good thing about birds is that when it's dark, you don't hear them out at night. So when it's dark, they want to go to bed.
Nice.
And so, it's conducive for, getting your groove on.
Oh, I like that.
Because they're asleep.
Yeah, it's been a while. I don't know what to say. Seriously, it's been a real drought, John. It's been a real drought.
You know,
you're single now. I'm single. We could meet up on your way to south of France or Sicily or wherever.
Yeah, let's go.
Just quickie, get it done. Alfie, you gonna be all right with that?
So, no, I went 3.5 years. Like I broken up. My girlfriend and I had broken up at the time. And then I figured I'm just going to chill. I don't want to get into any of, because invariably if you start, somebody says, where are we going with this? And you're like, I don't want to, so I
think that is one of the most respectful things you can do for yourself and for other people is when you've had a long-term relationship or a serious relationship or something.
Stay out.
You need a refractory period. You got to get back to you. Why would you?
Rebound.
Yeah, don't rebound. Don't put yourself in the way of someone else. It's not a way to recover. Recover yourself first. If
you're doing it, chances are you're doing it for your own whatever ego need, your gratification. You're wanting to feel valuable because you feel like shit because you just got tossed, or you tossed somebody else, or you felt like it wasn't working, and maybe even if you're the one who walks away, invariably you're going to feel like, still, what is it about me that can't do this? So you're out. People go out and they try. No, I just said fuck it. I'm going to take a year, maybe more, and it was about 1.5 years, and just when I started to feel like, I'm feeling like I can meet people, COVID hit.
COVID, you ruined everything.
It's like it ruined everything.
It did.
It ruined everything. But no, it actually was better because it was probably that I needed more time.
It creates, I feel like COVID and those self-imposed refractory periods, they create some space, and there's so much that can happen in that space. God, I feel so mature saying all this, but I've learned it from years of making the wrong choices and feeling sad and needing to validate myself. What up, Pablo? And you do that sometimes through sex or companionship. And you know what? Have sex with yourself. Have your companionship from your friends or your family. It's often safer than. And why would you want to fuck up someone else? Bring them into your own shit.
Unless you have a friend that is cool with it.
Yeah.
Like in the same mindset and saying, look, this is just what we do.
FTFs are great.
That's right.
Be direct if you meet people on apps. Hey, I just want sex. You want sex? You down? Let's do it. That I'm totally down for that.
I've never app dated. Have you
not?
It's just a little too hard.
There's that Hollywood one though, where all you actor types can go on there and you just bang amongst your own circles.
Oh, I've heard of it. It's called.
I forget.
Starts with a
FF. I know it's FF. Famous fuckers.
Yeah. No. Raya.
That's it. I think that's it.
Is it RH or is it? I don't know.
Colton.
Anyway,
could you look that up, please, my friend? Okay, Colton.
Somebody once said, "Hey, man, you need to get on this site." I'm like, dude, I'm not going there. There's no way.
God, just think of the gossip though. It's Raya. Colton says it's Raya.
Raya. Is it? How does it spell?
How's it spelled, Colton? Just Raya.
Oh,
download it now. This is not an ad, Raya, but if you want to get at me, we can talk.
Yeah. It's not. I've had enough crazy. I just need to. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to borrow trouble. Sometimes I feel like that's borrowing trouble. You get into a situation. I've had a couple friends who dated one really good friend of mine that is a producer, and the girl, he went one date and he was like, I'm not feeling it. No, nothing about you. It's
very
just,
respectful.
Might as well be straightforward and like, I'm not getting a groove here. She obsessed with him.
Oh, shame.
She somehow got into it. She's a wizard on the computer. It made his life miserable for a while. He finally had to call her parents. He got to her parents and they're like, yeah, she's not well. Sorry. It's like, what have I gotten into? And finally culminated with her. He lived in there's a place over here, Park La Brea, so that it has like, a guard gate and a
tar pit around it, like a moat.
Yeah, so he was asleep with his door open after we played in a baseball game together, and he was asleep with his door open in the evening, and next thing he knows, he wakes up and he looks, and there she is standing right outside his door, and he's like, "How the fuck did you get in here?"
Whoa!
And it was like, "Look, you got to get over this. It was one fucking date.
He could write a movie about that.
Totally could.
He does end up being stabbed in the neck, but
no,
just got to end that way.
You. It didn't go. I mean, yeah, if you were writing a movie, that's where you'd have to go next, I'm sure. But it's, but it is like, there actually has been a movie. What was Glenn Close?
Single White. Oh, yeah.
Was that Fatal Attraction?
Yes. I said Fatal Attraction. Yeah. And
that was like a one-off deal, right?
They banged and she got obsessed and tried to ruin him. Yeah. That was, it's not always just women that do that, though. I feel like we've talked about your friends one day in that film, but it does. Yeah. I mean,
no. I'm only giving the man's perspective.
Yeah. It does happen all right. And I've just been so turned off by some of my experiences on dating sites. And of course, I don't go out as much as I used to. And meeting people organically is difficult. And in like
it's harder.
My position as well, meeting people.
Hence, also like I'm not a widely known, celebrity or anything like that, but
You're that guy.
My privacy. I like my privacy. I'm that guy. Oh, I'm dating that guy.
Yeah. That's what they tell their parents. They're like, who? Shows a picture. Oh, that guy.
That guy. Oh, yeah. Oh, him. He's a creep.
I remember him. He was that unforgettable character, Stone from Falcon Crest.
Is that what my character's name was?
Yes.
You looked that up.
I looked it up.
I can't even remember. I do remember I did, what did I do? I also did Cagney and Lacey. I did Beretta. I did a show called 240 Robert. I remember some of these old shows when I was for Serpico was a series. Yeah. I had one line. I went like this. It was a group of revolutionaries and we were going to blow up a plane as it was landing and we were sitting in a hotel room and everybody's talking and I go, shh, 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 shh. I push the button and the whole place blows up. It's my best role.
Yes, all right. Pablo, blow it up.
Best fucking role.
What do you? But okay, so in this interview, you and I have probably shared about 6 different Napoleon Dynamite quotes. The film is 20 years old, and I still quote it as much today as I did the first time I watched it and loved it so much. And I know that you've talked about Corp LLC and Stone in Falcon Crest as being some of your favorite roles. But is that the one where people will come up and go, just say the line, chilling in a hot tub with my soulmate. Yeah.
I would say that, but funny enough, when White Lotus was showing, because it became the point that we were going with White Lotus, I don't think HBO knew that it was going to do what it did. It became so exciting. And the people were having like White Lotus. Stop, brother.
Pablo,
we're having like White Lotus watch parties and things like that. And I was getting literally stopped in my car as I was driving, like people would go, oh my God, White Lotus. Like that didn't happen with Napoleon Dynamite because I wore Uncle Rico had a wig on, it was like a big mustache.
Oh, it's so great.
Especially now my beard is gray, so. I
feel like also maybe it's because I didn't go and see Napoleon Dynamite at a normal theater. I went to the premiere screening in Austin. So that was it resonated to me different. Well, big time radio DJ.
Yeah, of course. How many times have I done that show?
I know. Actually, and I think there were a couple of actors at the screening. You weren't there because we would have become instant soulmates, obviously, except for we had to wait a few years as we did. But it was fun to see it like that. And so in my mind, Napoleon Dynamite has just been an instant classic since the first time I saw it. And obviously my old partner Jason was a huge fan too. So I mean, every time I see something that I want, I don't care who I'm with, I go, I want that. And people are like, why did you just say it like that? Are you making fun of my accent? No, Napoleon Dynamite, the woman, the guy, the Tupperware. I can't.
And the guy who was doing that was the second assistant director. I mean, that's how that film was. The guy who was trying to break
he was great.
I loved him. I loved him.
That character, everything. I still live for that. And I think I think it was an instant
go
classic.
Around the country and screen that movie. We screen it, and me and John Heater and Efren Ramirez, we go to we did one in.
That's how we met. The first time you were on our show, I believe you were in town for a screening.
Was it that? No, maybe it was. That's right.
The second time
they did one, I think, at the Alamo.
Yeah.
But then we did one after I knew you. We did one at the Paramount. A big screening at the Paramount.
And then you had at the Paramount Theatre, you had your premiere of the Jon Voight film.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Remind me of the name of the film.
Deep in the Heart. Remember, we were looking at it and the screen was so weird. And I was like, look, I know I don't have much of an ass, but I didn't know I had that little ass. Like, I remember
Optical
we were watching
illusion. Optical illusion.
I was commenting the whole time and you were like, and Rick Perry, the governor, was there.
Oh, he commented on my tights.
He had a thing for you.
He did. He liked my tights. It was strange.
That's tights. A nice way of saying, what are you doing later?
I'll tell you what, that not only was that a wonderful experience to attend the premiere with you, but we got to sit and have dinner with Catherine Willis and her then husband. She's now divorced, but we're still, we're still really great friends. And in fact, I need to reach out and have her on thanks Pablo, have her on the podcast. Oh, yeah. Made some lovely connections. I remember we all met for lunch just wonderful. Just one of those people.
And then you were at the lunch where Jon Voight told the story about.
Jon Voight told the story, and I'm going to let you tell it, but I don't know if you knew at this point, but Jon Voight, another instant classic that was a classic 30 years before I ever saw it, was Midnight Cowboy. It's on my top 10 list of films ever.
Without question.
I'm walking here, and everybody's talking at me. Like, everything about that is, if you haven't seen Midnight Cowboy, early Dustin Hoffman, Jon Voight. And so it's always been in my heart.
I got a line for you I'm going to just interrupt.
Go on then.
Hey. Do you know Woodsy Niles? That's a moment. And I wanted to call my band Woodsy Niles because the guy, when Voight is on his way to New York and he's in the bus and there's an obviously they pulled some old guy right off the street. He's like pure old Texas. And he just looks over at him and he doesn't say a word. He doesn't even nod. He doesn't all right.
Pablo wants to talk about Jon Voight.
He wants to just go to another place. You want to go there?
See, Sebastian, number 3.
It's either the closet or he looks at himself in the mirror. He's looking at himself in the mirror.
Oh.
He thinks he's looking at somebody else.
Pretty bird. Pretty bird. So he's on the bus and he just shouts out, "Do you know Woodsy Niles?"
Hey, you know Woodsy Niles? And the guy looks at him and was like,
that's it.
So I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you were saying Jon Voight told that story.
He told the story
about how he got the job.
Yeah. And do you want to retell it? Because I think it's a wonderful story.
It's so funny. I just had breakfast 2 days ago with James Haven, who is Jon Voight's son.
He's the son. Yes.
Yeah.
We will talk off camera about the ins and outs of that because I know it's a difficult situation.
Well, they've actually become very, very... they've patched up a lot of their history. So they're
glad to hear that.
Very mature, very really shows that you can anywhere in life, regardless. I mean, look, my mother was lovely and crazy at the same time. I had a lot of stuff that I had to work out with her, but the minute I started to find out what her past was, I was like, oh, poor lady.
Perspective,
poor girl,
right?
My grandfather was not nice to her. And I was like, oh, and of course she got 4 boys and what a nightmare for her because all she wanted was 4 girls.
Oh.
So anyway.
I'm glad to hear that.
But Jon Voight was in New York and we were talking about Marianne Dougherty, who was an amazing casting director in New York. And she was really one of the best and really probably was the best. And he got a job through her on some television show in New York at that time. And the guy who was directing the show and Jon didn't get along at all. And of course, all the feedback that Marianne Dougherty got was that Jon Voight has now become really difficult and he's hard to contain and he's out of control, And when it was just this director who was just didn't like not easy to work for, was a yeller, screamer. There were directors who felt like the best thing to do was just to scream at people and they would fall into line. Very much the Peter Berg school of directing, but I'm just kidding. Anyway.
Now spill the tea.
No, Peter Berg does it as comedy. He does it being funny. He's not really serious. He kind of goofs off. So I don't want it to seem like I'm knocking Peter Berg. He has a way about him that acts like he's doing it, but it's purely just to loosen everybody up because it's to be funny. But in Jon Voight's situation, and I'm reconstructing from my memory, but it was so detailed that Marion Dougherty didn't bring him in for Midnight Cowboy. But meanwhile, he was friends with Dustin Hoffman, and Dustin Hoffman had been hired, and Dustin was saying, you really need to get in for this. You got to get in. You got to read this book and you got to get in for it. And, John called his agent called Marion Dougherty, and Marion Dougherty said, no, I don't.
I've heard about him. No.
Bad things. I heard so many bad things. And, and then there was this other actor named Michael Sarrazin who was supposed to get the job. And Michael Sarrazin was a good actor, but you mainly saw him on TV shows. He was not what you would consider a movie star at that time, And there was a big divide between the two, movie actors and television actors. And now it's all,
it's blurred.
Intermingled. But
thanks to HBO and companies like that, really.
Good quality TV. We got stuck with all that crap for so long, but and then finally Jon Voight just went in to Marion's office with a letter of apology and explaining the situation, but at the same time recognizing that he had misbehaved and blah, blah, blah. So, and he walked in, and as he walked in, she just happened to be coming down the hall, and they saw each other, and she really did like him. And they talked for a moment, and he gave her the letter, and she said, hold on 1 minute, and just so happened to have John Schlesinger in the other room. And then she came back out, and she said, come with me. And he, talk about timing.
Wow.
Talk about timing is everything.
On the spot audition.
And he walked in, and John Schlesinger took one look at him and was like, that's Joe Buck, but didn't say it. Said, let's see how you read, take the script home, come back tomorrow. I want you to meet with the writer before and talk to him. And so he went through all these hoops and he did all that stuff. And then finally he said he went and he read, and it was the most amazing experience, but he didn't know if he got the job. And he went home that night. And here was the amazing part of the story. He lived up near Harlem in a little, like one of those cold water flats where the bathrooms are in the hallway type thing. And your bath, though you do have a bathtub, and that's your kitchen counter. And then you pull the top off, and, when you take a bath, and you can bathe in your own place, but to use the loo, it's down the hall.
Wow.
And he didn't even have a phone. And he came as he was walking home, and it was a torrential downpour. There was a homeless guy that he had befriended throughout his year or so that he was living in the area. And the guy usually seemed pretty normal, but he was standing in the middle of the street, not moving, cars going by on each side. And the rain, he said, was coming down in sheets. And the guy was just standing there, just getting drenched. And he said it wasn't warm. It was a cold rain. And he ran out. He was like, I forgot the guy's name. We'll call him Woodsy Niles. Woodsy, what are you doing out here? And so he took him to his apartment and took all his clothes off
inside.
And put them on the radiator.
Wow.
So they would dry because the radiator was clean. And he drew the guy a bath. He was chattering, freezing. But interesting that this was kind of a parallel. All of a sudden, it's the same as having Ratso Rizzo in your plate.
And taking care of him with love.
And what an amazing parallel, And so, oh no. And this was actually the night before the audition. It wasn't after the audition. This was the night before the audition. And then he left in the morning. He said, I have to go downtown. I'm going to just leave you here. You can eat whatever you want. You can watch the little television set, do whatever you want to do. I'm going to be back later.
So then he went down. What trust to give somebody,
Amazing. And he went and did his thing, and then came back that night, and the guy was there, and he said there's something had switched in the man's brain. He wasn't the same friendly person that he normally was. He was just kind of quiet and catatonic, and he wasn't saying anything. And then Voight just went into this story. He goes, I think I've just done something today, and if it works, it's going to change my life. I'll never look back on this. Will be a different thing. I'm actually finding my way to a place that my whole life is going to change. And he said, I'm just waiting for that phone call. And sure enough, there was the call, and the lady who answers the phone in the hall, like
down the
a
hall.
movie.
Yeah.
John Voight, boom, he comes running out. He gets it. She says, you got the job. You're going to be playing Joe Buck.
Wow.
And he just comes running in. And remember when he was telling us this, he was crying.
Yes. I think I started crying.
We were all crying. He was crying. Tears were coming out of his eyes. And he said, and I told him, I said, I got the job. I got the job. And the man just looked at me. He said, I could see in his eyes, there was this such appreciation. And yet at the same time, pain, because his life was exactly where it wasn't going to
never
change.
Be any better. Yeah.
So he was kind of enjoying vicariously through me. And he said, there I was sitting, and he goes, I realized in that moment that, oh my God, maybe I'm celebrating too hard because this guy's life is terrible. And I can't offer him anything other than just what I've given him. And then the guy just sat there and nodded, and they got really quiet for a minute. And Voight was like, didn't know what to say. And the guy looked up, he goes, I guess you should call your mom. And that was the last thing he said to him. And he was like,
wow,
you're absolutely right. And he got out and he ran down the hall and he called his mother. And then the rest is history. He got an Academy Award, and,
It's amazing. And that day will, I'll remember that story forever. It being one of my favorite movies of all time.
It's such a great movie, and it's such a great story.
It is. And to hear that backstory. Yeah.
And that passion that he had telling that story, and how Providence set this guy upon him, or he upon this guy, where he could say, come in. I wonder how much of the script influenced that, but he felt like the need to help this guy out. And it kind of probably augmented his emotion in going into that audition and playing that role. He was living that role,
and could experience it. And then also to be able to experience that moment of joy, even though it was with a stranger, and then feel that immediate pang of guilt that I might have gone too far with my celebration, but to be able to have that moment with somebody, and then 60 years, 50 years later, tell that story in front of a bunch of rapt people, just
in a restaurant.
Yeah.
And be so emotionally connected to it.
Yeah.
That was such a beautiful day. I'm like you. That to me was one of the incredible moments that I've ever had around anybody that I admired at their how candid, and transparent he was in that moment. It's amazing.
And I'm really glad to hear, because I wanted to ask, because I know outside of that, you're friends with him, and you had mentioned to me that you may be a little worried about him, and at some point in the past, and his house was maybe not where it should have been, and is that cleaned up a little bit? Has he being reconnected with his son somewhat?
I don't know. He got, but things obviously, that's the other really amazing thing that happened with him down there was, I had read the script completely independently for a potential role in
Falcon Crest 2, the movie.
The Liev Schreiber show. What's it called again? I have never watched it.
The Liev Schreiber. The guy's name. Why can't I think of that?
What's it called? Ray Donovan.
Yeah, shouting out.
So I read this amazing script, Ray Donovan, and here I was sitting in the car like 2 days before the day we were all at the premiere, and Jon was there, and we were just driving, and I said, so what's going on? What do you got going? And he's like, I just got offered a part in this show.
Oh my God.
Donovan. I haven't read it yet. And I'll never forget, I turned to him and I said, you don't have to. Just say yes. Because the role,
oh my God,
the role is so good. And he was like, yeah. He was kind of like doing like, yeah, I don't know about that. Like, yeah, but he ended up doing the role. The role was so good. And I did say to him when I saw him last, I said, do you remember I told you do this role? Not that you were going to do it whether I said it or not, but the fact is that you were so perfect for this part. And the minute I heard that, because it was the standout role when I was reading the script, I was like, going, wow, whoever plays this guy, this is
really in reading the script, you saw that, because the show was fantastic without him. I mean, every character, the storyline was fantastic, but when he shows up in a tank top, you're like, all right, shit, Ray Donovan just went up a notch.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, because it really was beautifully written. And I don't know the writers. I don't know anybody from the show except for Jon, but it just, Well, my friend Leland Orser was in it for a while, and he loved doing it. But yeah, that just the way that character was written. I missed, I don't always watch television, so I forget. I've never seen that show, but I know in the future I will be able to watch it. That's the beautiful thing about binge.
Yeah. Oh my God, binge is so right. And on that note, if you haven't seen White Lotus yet, it's on HBO. You can binge it. It's so bingeable because you don't want it to end. It's just visually beautiful. The characters, the
music is incredible.
Yes, the hotel manager, the Australian guy. I've never seen him in anything before.
Murray Bartlett.
His career just went like this.
Oh, he's so incredible, and it's such a beautiful role. And I tell you what, when I read the role, I was like, that is such a great role. But boy, oh boy, did he take it and just add boosters to the rocket. He really did. He took it, and went with it. It was so good.
Well, I'm looking.
And it's only 6 episodes. You can't miss.
No,
and it's like
it's so quick. It went too quick, frankly. To be honest, just let them know that it was a little bit too short of a series for me. So maybe there'll be more to come. South of France.
Yeah,
I don't know.
South of wherever. Sardinia, one of those places.
Sweden, Italy, Germany, it's all the same. Just let me know where you're going to be, and I'll buy a ticket and I'll pop in and see you this summer. You know where I am. I'm only half kidding about that too. I know. And anytime you're here in Austin, you come by. I was just there. I just was shooting a movie down in Corpus Christi called Only the Good Survive. A friend of mine, Jonathan Barra, is a brilliant filmmaker. Actually, he has so many different names, but he's written a lot of screenplays under the name Dutch Southern. I like that. His family's Dutch and he's from the South. But he's an incredible encyclopedic mind. And whenever he writes, it's like layers, like multi-layered chess. But I was down in Corpus Christi and then I came up to Austin, but I was there just literally, I got in late, like I wrapped at midnight and then drove in and got it to the hotel at like 3 a.m, slept and woke up in the morning and got on a plane. So I didn't reach out to anybody. Literally a flying visit next time. Yeah, I'll be there. I love it. I love being down there. Well, we love you. I miss you. It's so great to see your face. I could talk all day, but I know. This invariably, this is what happens. Yeah, sooner or later, kiss especially that. When you and I catch up. Well, great. We just always have a blast. Always the way we are, time. And I just love seeing you. And I'm so happy you're doing this show, and I'm just happy for you. Thank you. Thanks, Jon. Love you, and love you. Give a kiss to Banjo. And to Pablo and anyone else. And I'll tell Alfie you said hi. To the knucklehead over there. I will. Thank you, Jon. Love you. Bye. Thanks for listening. You can find more episodes and all of our other Hot Pie Media originals baked fresh daily at our home online at hotpiemedia.com, the Hot Pie Media YouTube channel, or wherever you listen to podcasts.